nothing in life has come easy. So it's like every promotion, it came with its challenges. It came through the hoops I had to jump through. And then, just, being a woman, being a Black woman, you gotta work harder. It's just, there's no giving up. And, that's one thing I'm telling my son. He just started an electric trade. And the one thing that I told him, like, nothing in life will ever be given to you. You're going to have to work harder. With the way the world is, racism still exists. You're a Black man, you have a strike against you, you're going to have to work harder. And I have felt that my whole life.
But I wanted to explain to you, like, why I was so excited to have you on and why I thought you would be a great guest.
You're just talking about how, like, everybody, like, I don't know how to put it in the right terms, but basically to be successful, it's kind of the stereotypes of success. And then
that's
other
really
people
close.
are successful with not having the social media presence or support per se.
Yeah.
I think we're getting closer to the language we want to use about how we talk about season 3. And after listening, I haven't listened to all of my mom's yet, but Cody's, after listening to this, I think what we're kind of getting to is this idea of uncommon success, because we don't label it that way anymore. And it's this balance of grit and grace that has allowed you to be where you are, where somebody on the street might look at it and go, that's not success, but they don't know you, right? They don't know where you started. They don't know what you had to work through. And that's the grit and grace part of it that I want us to celebrate more, because these lists, and social media has convinced us that I could have started at a -20 and made it to a +10. But these lists and social media make it feel like if I didn't make it to a 60, I'm not good enough. And it's ridiculous, So I don't know. We're still trying to find the way to talk about what we're trying to do. But when I hear it in the story, like Cody's and my mom's, I think that's it. That's what we're trying to capture. And so, yeah, equally when Erica mentioned your name, I'm like, let's do it. I don't know enough about you to know it's right, but I'm excited about it.
Yeah, and I think it's like it is success in, like, everyday terms, but despite roadblocks and adversity and challenges, and knowing that when you look at someone who appear, like, man, they've got a family, they've got a house, they've got a job that they go to every day, like, man, that looks really easy. But underneath it all, it's not easy. And, like, I think that's been the cool part of all these conversations, is we get to uncover the uneasy part of it that leads to that. And like Adam said, it doesn't fit the social media, what social media defines as success, which is all, like, fake anyway. Like, let's get real, the highlight reels of people's glamorous kitchens and, like, your life doesn't look like that. There's a pile of laundry behind that camera. Lies.
You can make a picture look good.
You can make a picture look really good. Yeah. So I'm just excited to dig into your story, because I know a little bit about you, but we worked together in the same office side by side for I don't know how long, and got to know you. And we worked together for a lot of years, and I think, like I did tell you in your phone call when Adam and I were talking, like, you were one of the first people that came to mind, because I have so much respect for you, and just I admire you, because you you fight and claw for people that you love. And
it's not always a good thing.
You have been through so much in your life, and you have just, like, wrestled it into who you've become, and the achievements. I mean, you've got 2 kids. You've been promoted to an executive level admissions counselor, and for those who don't know what that is, that's it means that you've demonstrated a level of success and professionalism and leadership, in your role to be able to take on those additional responsibilities at the same time that you're working all of your students. And I know how much you care for your students that you work with every day. And you're just a force, when it comes to all of that. And I know that it has been a journey for you through your life. And so, yeah, I was just really excited to get you here and talk with you more about that.
Thank you. I love your love for me, and I love you. and I just think too, I mean, with a lot of that is just God places people in your lives to help you get through those challenges. Mm-hmm. And you were one of those people. Mm-hmm. Like I think too, part of my success as an enrollment counselor was being by you in the office, because mm-hmm. you really taught me one-on-one, to be able to any questions I needed. I was scared. I was fearful, switching roles. I was used to just doing the back end of it, but to mm-hmm. actually deal with the students, you made me feel a lot more comfortable and just being willing to answer my million questions. Thank you. That helped grow me a lot. So,
I think everyone needs an Erica in their life.
Oh, yes,
right? Eric. When somebody believes in you more than you can see the meaning for, it matters.
It does.
It spurs you on to keep learning. So.
Well, then you inspired me every day and continue to do so, because I just the way that you care for people, just keeps me going. So, yay, I love you.
That's and I think too. I mean, that's one thing. Just with God has loved me, and I think that when you go through some of the things in your life that were challenging, just mm-hmm. from childhood to adulthood, the one thing that you don't want to do is hurt others. Yeah. And that is my big thing. Like, I never want to leave this world or even leave anybody I might meet each day to know that mm-hmm. I had a negative impact in their life. That's kind of, I've always been kind of polite. You see people on the street, you speak, I've carried that from childhood on. Mm-hmm. And I just think that, a smile, a hello, it can make a difference.
Yeah, well, I was curious, like, what would you say, like, is the legacy that you want to leave? How do you want people to remember you?
I think with me, like, if anything, just how I loved. Mm-hmm. I think, just my friends, my loved ones, my family, my children, anybody I encounter, like, if I love you, I really love you, and I'm going to go hard for you. On the flip side, just caring. I mean, it doesn't cost anything to care about somebody else, and I just think that everybody needs that person to be able to have your back, to care for you. Yeah. God's blessed me with my best friends that are like my sisters. Mm-hmm. I have lifelong friends, and I just think that everybody needs that outlet. Everybody needs that source. And if I can be that person, I'm going to be that person, and until you cross me.
There's boundaries.
Yeah, it's like, I'm still a forgiving person, but it's like, the older I got, especially, I would say 39 to 40, I established firm boundaries now. So it used to be you could do 1,000 things to me, I keep forgiving. And I mean, it was like what is it called? Glutton for punishment, I guess, myself. But now it's just, it's kind of like, you show me who you are, I'm going to believe you. And I'm going to separate myself, because peace to me is more important than anything at this point in my life. I know how to create my own peace. I know how to walk in love. I know how to treat others, and I just won't be treated less.
Yeah. So. Absolutely. And what a gift in your 40s to, like, if you're out there listening and you're in your 20s and 30s, like, I feel like it gets better, in terms of you.
It does. Like, I was terrified to turn 40, and it makes you feel younger, almost like my soul feels younger. Oh, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You might feel it in your body, but it's just like, I woke up, I became a woman or something. Yeah. Although my age was already there, it was just something clicked.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Here we are.
I heard a breath.
I realized that we're already into some great conversation, but we haven't shared her name.
Oh,
we're here. Episode 4, season 3, with Sara Sanders. we've gotten right into the meat of this.
Oh my God.
And it's gonna only get better. I mean, you're already on some incredible things, and we know the rest of this conversation is just gonna be great. I was just thinking about what you just said about peace. One of the most underrated things I think that we aim for in our lives, and already we're getting into it. So episode 4 is shaping up to be a banger.
Yeah,
it's gonna be awesome.
This is gonna be awesome. Yeah, so today we have with us the one, the only Sarah Sanders.
Hey.
Thank you for coming on. Honestly,
thanks for having
we've been talking about this episode since we decided to do season 3.
Yeah,
because we were looking forward to it. In fact, I would say, Erica, in our pursuit to kind of discover this blend of grit and grace and what real everyday success looks like, we were kind of building our season around what we thought our conversation with you might look like. Because I think
no pressure.
No pressure. I think you're the epitome of this. And the reality of that means all you have to do today is be you.
Just be Sarah.
Because it is who you are. And I just can't wait to see what we uncover. So thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And so we kind of touch on a little bit. So you're, an executive enrollment counselor. You have 2 children who are mostly adults by now. Your son is how old is he now?
Bubby just turned 19 and Daciara just turned 25.
Okay, so
in the last month, 2 birthdays.
Oh my goodness. So they're grown. You have a master's degree at this point. So
congratulations, by
yes,
the way.
Congratulations.
That's no easy task.
I thought that one was going to take me out. A lot of life happened during that one.
But you did it, and it's behind you, and now you have it forever.
Yes, that was an incredible feeling. I mean, honestly, my only goal was my bachelor's degree for my dad, and he ended up passing right before I got my bachelor's, and then I don't know what led me to my master's, but I was like, I want this. And then I finally got it. So,
it's that academic bug when you work in.
I think I'm going to be a lifelong learner. Even now I'm not in school, but I love reading. Yeah, that's my outlet.
Nice.
So it's like I always like to learn. I always like to expand my mind. And reading's always been that source for me since I could read.
Yeah.
Really?
Kind of takes you away.
Even when you were little?
Yes, like I loved reading. So like, in the libraries when you're younger, you normally have to stay in an area. I got it approved so I could go to the older. And I mean, that was like my favorite thing to do. And I think as I grew older, I realized that reading was my escape from life.
Yeah.
So that's my favorite thing to do.
Was your dad the inspiration for starting your education post high school?
No, so it's kind of a weird story. I mean, really, my dad, he wasn't allowed around us when we was younger, and he's not really my biological father either. I've kind of shared with Erica, but to just kind of touch base, my mom, she was married when she had me, so I was kind of the oopsie.
Okay, gotcha.
And then I always tried to find my biological father since I was younger, since I was 14, but I ended up finding him after my father passed away. I did Ancestry. So it took about 5 years, and then come to find out he had passed.
Oh, goodness.
So I never met him, but I did get to meet my family in Lebanon, Tennessee. I have like a really huge family. But yeah, so my sister's dad, I didn't, they divorced when I was 2, but nobody in my family knew I was not his.
Okay.
So it's kind of a weird story.
Wait. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Hold up. Hold the train.
Yeah.
You said nobody knew you were his. I get that part. Did you also say?
Or that I was black.
Or that you were black. Nobody knew you were black?
No. I'm sure people had ideas, but when my mom had me, she was married, and I have 3 older sisters. But when they ended up getting divorced, that was around the time I started getting my color. They said I got color around 2, which they divorced right before I turned 2. And so my uncle ended up telling me at my dad's funeral, he came over one day like, who's that little black girl playing with the kids?
Wow.
And he was like, that's Sarah. And he's like, no, it's not. But my dad himself, who I call dad, he didn't know. I ended up telling him in second grade when I found out because I knew the difference in color, but I never distinguished myself as a different color than my family.
Interesting.
So, some kids had called me a nigger. I didn't know what that word meant, and I'd asked my mom, and so then she had explained to me, and
that's how you found out.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Wow, I realized
Second grade.
we jumped in the deep end. We got to go back. I'm shocked. I didn't realize that your mom and your sisters are white.
Yeah, my whole family actually.
I did not know this.
And who you knew as your dad. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so, and then my mom's brother married my dad's sister. So it's like both sides of the family were the only ones.
Wow.
Goodness.
It's wild. Yeah, my family, they're actually country and redneck, and I'm a country girl at heart.
Sweet. No wonder we get along.
But yeah, so growing up, it was a little hard. We had a lot of racism with my mom's different boyfriends and now her current husband, which is my stepdad. So I ended up moving out in 8th grade. I went to foster care.
Did you really?
And that was your choice to leave? And
basically, the police have been called several times. Like, that was one thing. Like my teachers, they would get CPS involved. There's a stigma that, back then, like, if you were in foster care, you were a bad kid. I wasn't bad. I was abused. So there's a little bit of a difference.
Yeah.
Big difference.
So, but yeah, I was blessed. I had stayed with my best friend for the summer. And, my mom and my stepdad, they drank a lot. They were alcoholics and just very abusive. So they would fight a lot too. And they ended up calling the sheriff on me, and he'd been there a lot of times. So my mom was trying to make it seem as though I was a bad child. And so he pulled her outside. And of course, like, she told him the truth, outside of my stepdad, like, he just didn't like me because I was black. So, I had it really rough at home. He would take my books and things like that because, reading was my outlet. So my teachers would have to call home to get my books so I could read. Just a lot of different things. And then, a lot of my friends didn't really know about my childhood. I suppressed a lot, hid a lot. And so I think really it was probably more my teachers. They could tell the signs. And, they would try to get CPS involved. But it never worked. And so that sheriff that came, we lived out in the country, so he was used to him, and he talked her into letting me go to my friends. Well, she wouldn't sign anything for school, so for it to be legal, I had to go into foster care, and then my friends' parents got their foster license to keep me.
Yeah. So how long did you stay with them?
I stayed with them for a little bit over a year, and then I asked to be moved. It's so silly now, but I had got mad at her sister. I wanted to leave. She had an older sister. So I wanted to leave, and then from there, it's kind of like I knew what the system was. First foster parent was terrible. She was I ended up running away from there. And then I was ended up being placed with an older couple, and they had a lot of kids. They were probably in their 80s.
Oh, goodness.
They were really old. And so a lady had heard about me through the church, so she ended up getting her foster license and took me over. And so I stayed with her a little bit over about a year. And then boys happened. So she wanted me to stay away from a boy I just felt like I was in love with, and I wouldn't. So
how old were you at that time?
At that time, I was 16 going on 17. And so she ended up taking me to my case manager, and I was really upset. She found out I was still going around to see the boy, and she did treat me like her daughter, but in my head, I'm just like, well, you let him call me, you let me talk to him, you just wouldn't let me go see him, so, but I was really hurt, and I was young and stupid, and so I didn't want to go back to her house. So from there, I ended up going to Whitestown. They told me I would be there until I was 18, so at that time I was 17 because it was like 4 months before my 18th birthday. And so when I got there, basically I was in advanced classes. I already did the curriculum. And then I found out it was like a year program. So I wrote the judge a letter. It was like a 12-page letter begging to go home. And in my head, it would probably be back to my foster parent, but I was released back to my mom's.
Oh.
Wow.
And yeah, that lasted a whole day.
After how many years?
Oh my goodness.
4.
Wow.
4 years later. Yeah.
So I stayed there for one day my senior year. My stepdad was still a nightmare, and I moved. So my whole senior year, I was on my own until I turned 18 in December, and then I ended up getting an apartment in January. And so I just went to school and worked.
When you say your stepdad was a nightmare, what do you mean?
So he drank a lot. He would hit my mom. He was very verbally abusive. He hated Black people. hated Black people. So I was called everything.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
I was treated differently. We more by that time. Well, 2 of my sisters had left too. He tried to touch one of my sisters. He was a child molester as well. He did touch my other sister. But basically, he just, thankfully, I'll say this, the color of my skin saved me. I didn't get molested, but, that's terrible to say, but he's still like that. He's still that person. I say he's possessed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there was a situation back in November. My mom got really sick. Some was contributed to him. And so I had to be around them, and it didn't go too well. So I actually had started therapy myself in November because I didn't realize how much of my childhood to me, it was like, oh, I'm good. I got past this. I'm better than that, but you don't realize how much you hold on to and how much it shapes you.
Yeah.
So I had to go back to all the things I suppressed and kind of feel that to even be able to talk about it. I'm not, I'm not crying. I'm not breaking down. Like it's basically a part of healing to be able to talk about it and not cry or not break down because we went through a lot of things.
It's powerful. And thank you. I'll be the first to say thank you for sharing just some context, because when we talk about grit and grace and we hit it a little bit. You have a master's degree. You're an educated woman. You're leading at an executive director level. Those things combined with what you went through don't add up. Right? So there has to be something in the middle there. And that's what we believe is just grit and grace. And that's what we want to unpack. But for our listeners, they don't know that. I didn't know most of that. And to be able to hear the challenges that you had, and it really gives a lot of weight to what you've been able to achieve. And that's the uncommon success we want to highlight. And so thank you for sharing that. We don't want you to dig down in that any more than you're willing to do, but it's a great context to know what you've encountered, from just the uncertainty, like where are you going to sleep tonight, to I think racism is, as you described it, like you experienced it at its almost its worst, because it was in the home.
In the home.
I mean, that's horrible. So thank you for sharing that. You started to talk about how you got an apartment, you got a job, and you went to school.
Yeah.
So let's go there and hear, like, what was that what were you doing for work, and what were you doing when you say you went to school? What was that?
So I was still in high school. It was my senior year. And I worked at a grocery store. It was called, I want to say it was called Low Bills.
Low Bills. Oh, yeah.
So, up until I got my own place, I kind of stayed with person to person, and I would pay and help out around the house. And then when I got my own place, I just focused on finishing school, working. I won't lie, I partied a lot. I did. I had a fake ID at 18. And that's when I met my my ex-husband too. So he was a little older than me. I was 17 when I met him. He was 24. So we hung out a lot. I didn't make the best choices my senior year either. So then it was like when it came time to go to college, in my head, I had to work. I had to take care of my apartment instead of going away to school. That's probably one of my biggest regrets. It's not going away, because I really could have just gave up the apartment and stayed in a dorm. Thought about it, but two, I thought I was grown. Which I tell my kids, I'm like, be a kid as long as you can be.
Yeah, right.
That was a lot. So I call myself a late bloomer per se, too, because of that. Like when I finally was ready to go away to college, I was 20, got accepted into I-State, Indiana State. Was supposed to be in the dorm with my best friend, and I got pregnant. So I ended up having my daughter like 2 months before I turned 21. And so I was still going to, I went to Ivy Tech, and I ended up getting my associate's degree with Ivy Tech then.
Nice.
And that associate's degree is what? In what area?
Business.
Okay.
Associates in business. And then I ended up getting married, and we moved out to Oklahoma, and we went out there for Bible college. So after my ex-husband was finished, at that time I went there for a Bible certificate in Bible studies. It wasn't an accredited college. I went there, and then we was out there for about 7 years, and then we moved to Indianapolis. And the crazy thing is, I always wanted to go to IWU. My best friend had went when I was pregnant with my son, and I never would have imagined that I would have ended up working and going to school there. So,
I'm curious how faith worked its way into your life, because it sounds like growing up, it doesn't sound like there was a lot of God in the home, or...
Well, we went to church. We were one of those families, my mom, she went to get baptized, and she probably went to church with us a couple times, but we went every week, my sisters and I, so we rode the church bus. Then every foster parent went to church too. So there was never a time in my life I didn't go to church. Like, in my head, I've been baptized several times by every church too. So I say, this is crazy, but one of my goals for turning 18 was, I'm not going to go to church, and I'm going to be able to cuss like a sailor. That sounds terrible, I know. And to this day, I do still.
It sounds like an 18-year-old, honestly.
Right, yeah.
I don't have the best language all the time, but I cussed really bad in high school. Oh man, I cussed like a sailor back then. And so it was just like, once I got grown and graduated, I didn't go to church anymore. I would say for probably about a year and a half, I stopped. I still prayed, but I didn't go to church. I was like, can't nobody make me go to their church anymore.
I would imagine
I was still per se a good person, but I wasn't in a building. And so then a lot of life happened too, because, we might leave God, but he don't leave us, but he was whooping my tail. So I started getting in trouble. I was going out every weekend. Alcoholism runs in the family. So when I would go out, I had to figure out, like, when you go out and you get drunk, it's a form of alcoholism. Doesn't matter that I couldn't sit at the house and get drunk, but if you go out and you're in public, and every time you get in public, you're getting drunk, you're like a social alcoholic. So I was getting in trouble. I was fighting. I was fighting. Like I've been in a lot of fights, but it was like, prior to having my daughter, I got picked on a lot. And when I say, the racism from my family, well, I also experienced a lot of racism from the other side too, of my people. So, it's like you weren't accepted from both sides. A lot of people thought I was new in town when, I went into foster care, because my parents kind of kept me put up when I was at home. So, nobody really knew me in town outside of my couple best friends. So I went through a lot of life, and it was like I went from getting picked on to where you literally could say something to me, and I might try to do something to you, you know? So it's like I developed a really bad temper after my daughter. And so I was like fighting every weekend. I ended up getting in trouble. And that's what led me back to God. Like I literally, I just poured into him, and then I started going to like every church I could until I found where I felt comfortable to join. Because, you know, before it was like I was made to join this church. I was made to get baptized.
Right.
Like I'm made to do this. And I'm like, so I ended up finding my church home in Richmond, Cornerstone, with Pastor Ricky White. And that was like my saving grace, because it was like no matter what I went through, God still pulled me through it. It just, I bumped my head quite a bit when I turned away from God.
What do you think it was about that church that made you feel like you belonged there?
The love, like when you go in. And it's so funny because a lot of people talk about that church even to this day, but it's like I've never went in anywhere where you just feel loved and accepted. Like my pastor teaches on relationship. You know, growing up, I always heard the fire and brimstone, God's wrath. You know, I was never taught like God loves me, you know, the love of God, the relationship that you build with God, you know, how he's there with you. He's inside you, you know, he's a part of you. I just never was taught those aspects. And I think, you know, just going there, you have people that, you know, were from the streets, people that had hard lives. My pastor's story himself, he wasn't this perfect person. So there's no judgment, you know. It was come as you are. You know, it wasn't like a fashion show. You know, you could walk in jeans, you could walk in your finest. You know, it just was very welcoming, very loving. Like you could feel the spirit move. So even when I go home, that's where I go visit.
Yeah. I was curious, like, I know religious trauma is a very real thing. And, you know, growing up the way that you grew up and seeing, you know, just how you were treated by your own family, by others, you know, in the community or your foster, you know, other foster families that you lived with who took you to church, but maybe weren't the best models of Jesus and love and all of those things. Like, did you ever have feel a conflict of, you know, where you questioned a faith or, you know, were like, I'm, you know, not going to go to church because like that, these people aren't real. You know, they go here and they talk about one thing, but then they act a different way. Did you ever have like a conflict with that?
With one of my foster families, like there was a church we went to, and it was more cliquish, you know, very cliquish, actually. So, you know, the girls didn't like me. Some of the adults even lied on me. Like, it was crazy. And I think that was probably my first experience of hurt with the church. But as I got older, it was kind of crazy, like how everything came about, because it's like the same people that talked about me. At one point in my life, I went through something to where they all were praying for me. And the pastor used me as an example for his service, and people were calling me. And it was probably like my lowest point in life, to be honest. Like I had went through a lot, and I was contemplating suicide. It was crazy. And then also harming someone else, you know? So it was wild to get that call, like, to get that call and to know that, you know, that man at one point talked about me as a child because he didn't know my story. But then in the next moment, even though it was years later, that same man used me as an example for his message, you know, and was praying for me. I think for me, that was probably one of the most touching things. And it was like going through that experience too, I got tough skin to where I'm like, you know, it used to always break me when people thought things of me or judged me. And my whole life, that was probably like one of my biggest things. And I was about 22 when this happened. And that was one of the things I was like, okay, you're 22 years old. You have a daughter who's here for you, who's doing something. Like nobody, you're alone. At the end of the day, you're handling this. You know, you have no help from her father. You don't have family. and you're worried about what people in the community are saying about you. Like, do you realize how far you've come? And it's just like, I had to talk to myself, and it's like, the same people that talked about you are praying for you. Like, God's got more for you, and I think that it pulled me out of one of my darkest areas of my life, but it also empowered me to where, I mean, even to this day, it might sound bad. I really don't care what people think about me. I don't. It's like, because people are always going to judge, and I try hard not to judge others because you just don't know their story. You don't know what they've been through. And I've been through enough in life where, I don't regret my past. I don't regret my decisions. I think that a lot of things I've been through, I've went through them to help other people. I can't be ashamed of where I've come from or what I've done, because I know that I've gotten through, and it might be to help somebody else, One of my friend's moms the other day, like, I had reached out, one of my nephews is going through some things with mental illness, and, she's known me since I was a child, and she was just talking about my accomplishments and things I've overcome, and she was like, you could have been a statistic. And it's so true, because we look at things, and it's, I had so many strikes against me growing up, to where I could have been a statistic. I could be out here strung out on drugs or doing harm to others or doing harm to myself, But it's like every day I wake up and I just thank God, just first of all, for having a sane mind, for wanting to do His will, whatever that might be. I don't know sometimes, but it's just like I really try to be my best each day to people I encounter.
Yeah.
You can hear so much of. I was thinking about the grace component in your story, and there's a lot of grace. I think we think of grace as something that we are privileged to walk in, right? Because grace keeps us. Because there's choices you've made, and because grace was present, those choices didn't result in, lockup or death or something like that, right? And that's grace, and I think that's where we generally think of grace, and that's here. You can hear that all the way through what you're sharing in your journey as an adult. Thus far in your story. But I think there's also a grace in this gentleman who talked about you in one light when you were a child. But because of grace in his maturing and the things, whatever had happened in his life that caused him to change his perspective, it positioned him to say the words that you didn't even know you needed to hear from someone who had said quite the opposite earlier. And I think there's a grace in that as well. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful piece to hear how the grace is working on both sides of the equation. It's keeping you, but it's maturing those around you in a way that you needed. And then there's, your grit is unbelievable, Sarah. You just, I think this is becoming common. It was with Cody, a little bit with my mom as well, as you don't think anything about doing it. You're just doing it because you have to do it.
Have to.
Right? And you could do it for the kids. I got to do it for this. I got to do it for that. And you just do it. And that's such an incredibly admirable trait in you. So can we talk about your decision? Your faith, you're back in this space where you're going, you have a community and you've got that support. When did going back to school with Indiana Wesleyan University, when did that come about, and how did it come about? What was the motivation?
So it was wild. As I said, my friend had went there when I was pregnant with my son. I had just got married, and at the time we lived in Richmond, so she was driving up for like an hour each week.
Oh, wow.
That wasn't really feasible for us. And then we ended up moving to Oklahoma for Bible college. And so my husband ended up wanting to come back to be closer to family. So instead of moving to our hometown, Richmond, we chose Indianapolis.
Okay.
So at that time, I was a manager for Walmart. I'd been there for like 7 years. And I ended up transferring my job here. I did not like Keystone. It was so ghetto. So I'm like,
I will agree with you on that note. I don't contribute to that kind of conversation a whole lot, but I had stopped in there to get something. I was like, what the heck? Where am I? It was filthy in there.
Oh, man, and it's not like it was never the customers, it was the workers, and I was like, "I gotta get out of here," because it's funny, in Oklahoma, you have people from all different backgrounds. It's considered the Bible Belt, so there people are very friendly. It's nothing for someone to come pray with you. It's the Bible Belt. Moving back here, I was like, people are rude. People are mean. It was just like a culture shock because I've been so used to everybody being genuinely nice. So I stayed there for a year and I was just like, I can't do it. And I've never did this, wouldn't recommend it, but I quit without having anything. I was like, I cannot do this no more. Like it was messing with my mental and I was like, just use your degree. And so I started looking at insurance companies and then I saw IW had a position and I was scared to death, but I was like, let me apply. And I ended up, Sarah Benson, I had, my first interview was with her, and then the next interview was with like a group panel. So that was very intimidating, first time ever.
Oh, wow.
But she believed in me. And that's the one thing. It's like, people, when I have not been able to believe in myself, other people have believed in me and poured into me. God has a funny way of doing that.
Yeah, he does.
I don't believe in coincidences. I'm like, it's all God. But, I started working there, and then she kept talking to me about my bachelor's, and I was just like, I wasn't really interested in something in me. I was talking to my dad, and my dad kept telling me I should go back to school. And so that's why I said I got that degree for him. And it was really, it blessed my life, though, when I think about it. Like, some people are born into money. Some people don't need degrees. Some people are blessed to own their own business. And there's people like me. I needed an education. And it's just blessed me. Like I ended up going through a divorce while I was getting my bachelor's. And if I didn't have a degree, I wouldn't be able to survive. I wouldn't be able to take care of my children. I wouldn't be able to afford rent, which the economy is killing me, but at the same time, it's like just having that degree. I'm put in a better category financially to be able to try to provide for my kids. And then even the emotional intelligence that comes with having a degree, like I felt like it grew me as a person.
And that's the part that I think I got to witness so closely working with you in the same room. Like, I mean, you fought so hard, to just through your role at work and being able to, get that situated in a way that worked out best for you and, the organization and just seeing you evolve through some really tough things, because it's not a light switch, you don't go from, one way to, being a different way overnight. But you just like you've done through your whole life, just that determination and falling and then standing up and getting up and taking it one step at a time, one day at a time, and being very present. Like I see that now that you're sharing your story, I see so much of that. And what I witnessed in you is just getting up and doing it every single day and getting a little bit better every single time you stand back up. And yeah, I mean, that was a hard time in your life at that point. And yeah, what do you think carried you through all of that? Like, yeah, you were going through a divorce at the time and trying to focus on your studies. Jeez.
If my kids are always my driving point. Like, it's weird. Like, one of your questions was like, what did you want when I always wanted a family. Like that was my thing. I always wanted my own family. And that's one of the reasons I stayed in my marriage for so long and shouldn't have, plus I didn't believe in divorce, but, it was just, I wanted those children and I had them and I was like, I got to take care of them. And, nothing in life has come easy. So it's like every promotion, it came with its challenges. It came through the hoops I had to jump through. And then, just, being a woman, being a Black woman, you gotta work harder. It's just, there's no giving up. And, that's one thing I'm telling my son. He just started an electric trade. And the one thing that I told him, like, nothing in life will ever be given to you. You're going to have to work harder. And, I just, with the way the world is, I mean, it's racism still exists. You're a Black man, you have a strike against you, you're going to have to work harder. And I have felt that my whole life. It's like,
I think that's a message that we all need to hear, because the level of entitlement in America is ridiculous. We need to start from that point, that what you achieve in life requires work. We need to hear that message more and more. And good on you for sharing that with your son.
Yeah, you have to. Like, I mean, and he didn't know the word no until after my divorce. Bubby's spoiled. So that entitled spirit is still there. And I just think too, with a lot of children these days, like, we all have tried to just go above and beyond for our kids, not to have them live lives like we did. But I mean, even throughout, I'll say this, even with my mom, throughout all the dysfunction, like, she struggled. I understand her story now. I didn't know a lot about my mom's story, and my dad helped me with that. And so it's like, we all have a past, we all have a story. But if you want different, every day we're given 24 hours in a day. So you have to go get it. You have to put the work in for it. And that's with anything. If you truly want something in life, you have to do the work.
Yeah.
And I try to pour that into him, because in his head, things are just give it. I'm like, no, that's not reality,
Yeah.
And I think that, that's one of the things too I regret, like, just with the discipline and things like, my kids weren't really disciplined younger. We did more of the talking, which works to a certain extent. But,
sure.
My husband was the type to never say no. And I was the type, like, you got to work for it. So even we kind of bumped heads with discipline and structure, things like that, But I think if I'm ever blessed to have grandkids one day, I'll be able to start pouring into them a little younger too.
Yeah.
Talk about what your family is and means to you now.
So my family, family is not always blood, as we know.
Yeah.
I say she's my soul sister from another
Uh-oh.
mother, Erica. But, for me, family, my two children, they're my family. They're my everything. They're my saving grace. I tell my daughter, she's the first thing that taught me love, unconditional love. Just seeing her being born, I think given life is one of the most beautiful blessings a woman can have too, is childbirth. But with them, they're not perfect, but they're mine. I know that we're going to make mistakes, but I just try to really pour into them too. Let them know I love them. There's nothing they can do. I mean, my daughter's giving me a run for my money. She's doing good now, but she gave me a run for my money for about 6 years, but I never stopped praying. I did establish firm boundaries, and I always walked in love with her. And I'm too, like, now, both of them, they're going to make their own decisions. I just have to stand by, let them do it. My son, he's like, Mom, I'm going to bump my head. I get it. If it's something I can avoid, I try, because I'm also an overthinker. So I think of every possible outcome. But I tell them, overthinking has also made me successful, because I am prepared for whatever happens next. I have to be.
Yeah.
It's just my life, but, and then too, family, I have some best friends that are just like, you can't tell me they're not blood. I mean, we've been going strong for 30 some years.
Oh, wow.
And that's the thing, even just having that support, it's something that our kids might not experience with social media and things, but God has really blessed me with people that are not any type of blood, but they are my family. I love them.
I wanted to ask, because I was sitting over here thinking about, you're talking about, Erica asked what pulled you through, and you talked about your kids, which is family. And it made me think to ask, what does family mean to you? And here's why I wanted to ask. I was thinking of a story in Scripture. There is a blind man that Jesus encounters, or he encounters Jesus. And in this story, as it goes, Jesus kneels down, scoops up some dirt, spits in the dirt, turns it into mud, puts it over his eyes, and then speaks a word to him, and his eyes are open. The blind man's healed through this process. And if you think about the journey that blind man had in that time, he was considered less than. He was marked as someone who didn't belong in society, and because of that, it was common for people to walk past and spit on him. Right? This would have been a part of his daily life. And so I was thinking about that story, and I heard a friend of mine says that God will heal you with the very thing that the enemy tried to destroy you with. And you can see it in this story, right, where Jesus spits in the mud, the very thing that this man had been diminished by his entire life was now being used to give sight, to bring healing. And as I hear you talk about this, I'm just thinking about your childhood. If there's anything you should want to avoid, it's family. Because family has not been for you what family was. But to see how God, again, is so faithful to take and heal you with the very thing that the enemy tried to destroy you with, it's just so powerful to me. And I can just imagine, Sarah, I don't know you well enough to know, but hearing you talk, you have to be an incredible mom. You're clearly a fighter, and you love people well. So again, here we are at Grace. How that's possible, I don't know that I'll ever understand that. But it's happening. So I'm encouraged by that. That's why I wanted to ask, because I thought, I wonder if this is true in your life, and it is. I mean, the way you talk about family, it has been a source of healing and love and community for you. And hearing your story, it doesn't seem like it should be.
So, my children are something different, but we love each other. No, it's just different. Like I've never. Well, we learned the golden rule in kindergarten. Like I believe but it's just like I just don't want to treat how I want to be treated is how I treat others.
Yeah.
And with my family, like that's one thing with my kids. I never wanted to be like my mom. I know that it might sound terrible, but I had the perfect example of what not to be as a mother. And I mean, I didn't even share like a lot of my childhood. I mean, it's just, it's unreal. And I had to really, that's one of the things that I struggled with. In my head, we were so close. And I think I shared this with you. In my head, we were so close. Well, reality is, my sisters took care of me when my sisters were at school. Yeah, me and my mom were close, but she kind of had to be, So as I started remembering just things from my childhood and just things I had suppressed, it's like I had to face reality. Like that was your perception, but that's not really what it was. I love my mom to death. I am very respectful, but at the same time, my mom went through some things as a child to where she probably shouldn't have had kids.
Sure.
And I think with me, it's like, okay, God blessed you with these kids. My kids are a blessing. Take care of what God gave you, because they tell me they didn't ask to be here, and it's true. They didn't. But God has put me in a position to mold them, to shape them, to pour into them, to try to create better human beings, because the world needs good people. And, my son, he is a great kid. I mean, he's got a good heart. He's silly. He likes to tell jokes. But he's a good kid. I couldn't ask for a better kid. He doesn't do bad things, and I'm very blessed. My daughter, on the flip side, she got in a lot of trouble, but she's got a smile that will brighten your room and brighten the heart, But, and she's changed. So it's like, even with that, I've been able to see her journey and to see her growth. Things that used to break me has made me stronger. one thing I did want to touch on is like when we talk about forgiveness, I think one of the things that, we always ask God to forgive us, but we don't forgive ourselves. And I think that's why we always pick it back up. And it's like I had to learn to forgive myself and offer myself grace, just like I'm begging God to forgive me, until I felt that and was able to grow from it and heal from it. It's like you can ask God a million times to forgive you, but you also have to forgive yourself.
Yeah.
And I had to learn to forgive myself for those choices.
Why do you think forgiving yourself is so hard?
One, just accountability. I mean, sometimes we don't take accountability for our choices. We might blame somebody else for our actions, I used to be like, oh, I'm cursed, in a sense, maybe I was. You got two married people that fornicated and had a one night stand and created me. What's the odds? So life is going to be a little more challenging, but it's like, just acknowledging, okay, well, you've been dealt a hand. You can either play the hell out of this hand, excuse my language, or you can fold, and I'm not folding, like I'm going to keep going because at the end of the day, I got two children that's counting on me. If I'm blessed to have grandchildren, I don't know. But, it's like to me, I'm a cycle breaker. I believe in generational curses. I know there's still things to break, but hopefully with each lineage of our family, it gets stronger. But, I want to be able to take everything I've learned and pour into my kids without, beating them down. But I can be an example to them. And that's how I really try to live every day is, what do I want them to know? Like, what do I want them to know from my story? They know everything I've ever did in life,
Right.
Yeah.
So, we're very honest with each other. Some people can use your past against you. My ex-husband did that a lot. So they've kind of known everything I did from 17 on. He couldn't say anything from 25, but they know when I was a little knucklehead. So,
Sure.
even now, my son, honesty is something that we all take seriously, so we have a little honesty clause, we try to be honest with each other as much as possible because at the end of the day, we got to do life together.
Yeah.
So we got to be able to trust each other.
Yeah. I think it's cool. You had made mention that you had to forgive yourself in order to let it go, right? Because otherwise you keep picking it up. It made me think like this process. I think we can all relate to this. That we've all made mistakes to varying degrees, and the willingness to say, you know what, I'm going to give myself grace in that. I'm going to forgive myself because I can be different. I can do different now. Allows you to kind of release yourself from that anchor. It's hard to move forward with dragging all that stuff from the past. So I think there's a lot of value in what you're sharing. I know we're getting close to time. I'm sure you've got a really good question to.
I was just as I was listening to you talk, I know you mentioned earlier you tend to overthink things, but it seems like you have this gift of being able to, it's a wisdom, but it's a gift to be able to like look ahead into the future and kind of see. I was curious if, even when you were younger, do you feel like you had kind of a vision of what you wanted your family to be like or what you wanted to craft your life? Because it seems like you are so strong and like you've been sharing, you go through and you make things happen, through the grace of God and also through your work because you're such a hard worker. You make things happen for yourself and you make things, you're a cycle breaker. That doesn't happen by accident. You have to be really intentional with that. Do you feel like that you've set a vision? Like, do you see or do you remember doing that or have kind of a vision of how you wanted things to go?
Not really younger wise. I just think when I was younger in my head, I just want a family. I want a husband. I want children. And it's weird because like forever, I want to say we worked together when they would ask, like, what are you? All I could ever say was, I'm a mother, you know, like, that's all. It was like, I didn't have anything outside because I literally have poured so much. Even when I was a wife, I poured so much into being a mother, being a wife, you know, just really trying to put my family first in everything. So in a sense, I kind of lost that identity too, you know, to where now it's like, you know, yeah, that was my only goal was to be a mom. I didn't, you know, for a little bit, I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to be a veterinarian. I wanted to be a teacher. I played school every day. But for the most part, I just wanted my own family. So it's weird. And then it's like, you know, I ended up getting that, like, just having my daughter. She was 5 before I got married and had my son. Even when it was just her and I felt like my life was complete with her, you know? So I didn't have big dreams or big goals. Mine was just having a family and be able to provide for him.
That is a big goal.
Well, honestly, though, when you think about it,
I got married at 25, so that was a little young too.
That's a pretty big goal when you think about where you started.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, even that seems almost impossible from some of the stuff that you've shared. And I know there's so much more to your story that we're not going to get to hear, but that's a pretty big goal. Even just that, like, it seems simple to have a family, but it's more than just making a family.
Right.
Like, anybody can make a family, but how do you have a family? And that takes a little bit more work. But I don't know how to thank you enough for sharing and being with us today. When I look and I just think about what all we've heard, we're sitting with a 3-time college graduate, a leader of people, someone who's on the path helping others achieve their goals educationally, with a story that by all intents and purposes shouldn't allow you to be doing that, but you are. And there's so much resolve. And I think it's found in what you said. Just got to put in the work. Like, that is so much evidence in your story of going, okay, this is the hand I'm dealt, then I'll put in the work. I may not be holding aces, but I will discard till I find one.
You got it.
Right? Just incredible. I don't know. I just want to say thank you. I'll turn it over to Erica as we wrap up, but thank you for being with us and just sharing a little bit of your journey. It really is incredible. You should be very proud.
I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah. No, thank you. And I'm curious, like, where do you see yourself in 5-10 years? What's next for Sara?
Eric, I was praying you didn't ask that. I'm not
Worst interview question on the planet.
I was praying because it's wild, Erica. Like, I don't have a 5-year or a 10-year goal.
Yeah.
Like, I think 2026 has came in. Just time is flying.
It is.
Each day, I'll say getting through a day is good right now. We've had a lot of life happening lately. And I just think that, you know, besides the things going on in the world, just things going on in my life and home with my children, I'm just thankful for each day I have.
Yeah.
I eventually, you know, my son, I just found out this is a 5-year apprenticeship. So I'm still here for 5 years.
So he's committed, right?
Yes. I thought it was 3 years. So yeah, he just told me last week is 5 years. And so I'm not going to, eventually I would like to go south. But for now, I have to support my kids. So I'm going to be here for 5 more years. And it's sad to say, I don't have a goal right now. It's just trying to make it through each day.
Yeah.
Just being present. That's my big thing. Being present, being a light, just trying to just pour out as much as I can that I have in me. You know, life is heavy for a lot of people right now.
Yeah.
And so I try to just joke, make light of situations and just really try to be an example each day of walking in love with those I encounter. Just try to be present for my children, pour into them as much as I can, and so anybody God blesses me with, because right now I just think we have to really walk in love just with how the economy, how the world's going, how angry people are right now.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of praying and just continually building my spirit. Like each day, that's really where I find my peace, my thankfulness, going outside nature, things like that. Just trying to get through each day right now.
Yeah.
Is my goal.
Yeah. That's a good goal. I mean, midlife parenting
I wish it was more.
is real. No, that's the reality of it. It's hard work for sure. Yeah. And one final fun question that I have. So you love to read. I love to read. I think we're all book lovers here. Maybe book listener, as long as you can listen to it. I really related to your library story earlier, but I was curious, what are you reading right now?
So I have a couple books I'm reading right now.
Yes.
So I've been doing, oh my goodness, what is his name? So there's 4 books. It's the Toltec Wisdom. What is his name? Don Miguel Ruiz.
Okay.
So I read different things. He does like spiritual books and things like that, the 4 Agreements. So I'm reading the series with him, and then that's for my spirit. But as far as like for my leisure, I like. Sorry, I'm embarrassed.
Uh-oh.
I like romance mysteries.
Yes.
There it is.
Yes. Romance mysteries. I love it.
The one I'm reading is Lisa Jackson's, what's that called? I know what you did. I don't know. I've been reading it. So I stopped reading it and picked it back up. And I was like, I'm going to finish it this time. But I love her and I love James Patterson.
Oh, yeah.
They're my 2 favorites. But
Very nice.
romance mysteries is my thing.
Love it.
I can't relate. I'm going to step out of this conversation.
Well, awesome. Well, Sarah, thank you so much. And I love just what you said about, just walking in love and being present. And, there is a lot going on in the world right now. It's, even in our personal lives, parenting, if you're a parent, there's a lot that's always going on. And I think you always inspire me. And today, I think what I'm walking away with is just that determination, the work ethic. Your work ethic is infectious, and, do the work, walk in love, be present, and just love those around you as hard as you can is what you do. So thank you.
You're doing a great job.
Yeah. Thank you.